I applaud Mark Zuckerberg for doing this podcast. Is you are gonna find it difficult to find people in that position, billionaires like him, people that own social media companies, putting themselves on the hot seat. Hi guys, thank you for joining me once again today. My name is Noble. Today I want to do something different. I've been listening to podcasts for a long time now, driving back and forth from work to home. And I've listened to a lot of interesting podcasts. And so this video is kind of different from what I usually talk about, which is Nigerian politics. But I think, it's still a kind of content I feel like I should create to give you feedback or to react to a podcast that I listen to that is very interesting to me. So please guys, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to give me your feedback and comment in the comment section below. So I just finished listening to Joe Rogan's podcast with Mark Zuckerberg. So Mark Zuckerberg is the CEO of Facebook, which is now currently known as Meta. Meta owns Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook, obviously, Oculus, and so many other things that they do, right? So he had this podcast with him a couple of days ago, and I listened to it over the course of 2 days, and I found it really, really interesting. And for me, my impression or my takeaway from it are so many things, and I just want to share it with you guys. For me, first of all, I want to be charitable, right? And say first of all that I applaud Mark Zuckerberg for doing this podcast. You are gonna find it difficult to find people in that position, billionaires like him, people that own social media companies, putting themselves on the hot seats. Yes, it's a friendly conversation, but at the same time, it's easy for him to trip over and say something that he shouldn't say. So first of all, I want to be charitable and say kudos to him for doing this is for doing the podcast. This is not me being patronizing, but this is just me, my first opinion. I know he doesn't do it a lot. I think he's done it with Lex Friedman. He's done a podcast with Lex Friedman, and other interviews are really well crafted interviews with big mainstream media organizations. So it's very, very few times you're gonna see him doing a podcast. So number one for me is kudos to him for doing that. It takes a lot of guts and good soul to do that. If you compare him to Elon Musk obviously has done a ton of podcasts, a ton of interviews with independent YouTubers, podcast hosts, and so forth and so on. But people like Jeff Bezos, for example, I don't think he has ever done a podcast that I know about. And this is someone that personally I would like to hear his opinion or views on certain subjects. There's a video I watched on Instagram where, and this leads to my second point of why I think we should applaud Mark Zuckerberg doing what he did. There was a video I saw of Jeff Bezos. Someone asked him a question of I think the question had to do with why is Amazon the most successful company in the world? Why is Amazon doing so well? And he was just saying something, and suddenly he cut himself short and was like, "Thank you for using Amazon." So my first impression was like, he was just speaking off the cuff, and suddenly he was like, no, he didn't want to speak again, because these guys, they have big global PR firms that organize and tell them what to say, what not to say. They release statements. They have people in the media that they can work with to because you're always trying to paint a very good public persona. So it's very hard for them to, sit down and over almost 3 hours have an honest, genuine conversation. Because the thing about podcasts is, and having long form conversation is that over that long period of time, you can see whether someone is real or fake. And so my takeaway from the podcast with Joe Rogan and Mark Zuckerberg is that this guy really comes off as being genuine. I looked at the feedback on the YouTube post that Joe Rogan made on YouTube, and it was very negative, really. And obviously, people don't like Mark Zuckerberg, but in my own opinion, you really have to applaud him for doing what he did. My only criticism from the whole podcast is had to do with obviously Hunter Biden, the controversy around the laptop, and I think that's what most media companies picked on when he said that the FBI came to Facebook and warned them that there might be interference from foreign countries, and so because of what the FBI told them, when the laptop story came out, unlike what Twitter did, and he made that distinction that Twitter didn't allow you to share the story, but Facebook allowed you to share the story. But Facebook kind of limited the what's the word he used, the ranking or so. So you could still share the story on Facebook, but the ranking was kind of reduced. So they kind of put their hand on the scale, and so that would be my only negative. And that would, and you would, and if you listen to the whole 2+ hours podcast, you will see that this is a guy in charge of a social media company that 3.5 billion people use, and from the conversation you see this struggle, and not just from the podcast, but if you were to put yourself in his shoes, you find it very hard for you to regulate or try to, you know, do things right by 3.5 billion people. Is a mass number of people that you're trying to give a platform to. So my only negative or my own analysis or criticism is that they shouldn't have done what they did obviously with the Hunter Biden laptop. They should have let it go on, and obviously now it's come out that the laptop was true. It wasn't Russian disinformation, it wasn't Russian misinformation. You know, so the other aspect for me from the whole podcast, another takeaway for me is that the American population, from what I've learned or from my research, has always seen, or they see Mark Zuckerberg in a negative light, right? Like I told you, I looked at the feedback, the comment section on YouTube. It was very, very harsh. Even the likes were a lot on the harsh comments. So people really don't like Zuckerberg, you know. So maybe my own takeaway is that perhaps he's trying to change or trying to paint a positive look on his public persona. And maybe I'm wrong, but I kind of feel like, you know, by having this 2-hour conversation, perhaps he was able to change the mindset of a few group of persons who may not have been seen in a positive light before. You know, because in that almost 3-hour conversation, you were able to see a guy that is really genuine, in my own opinion, someone that loves the product that he makes, someone that is, in fact, sometimes you see him struggling to answer because it's like, you know, he's trying to process and give the correct answer. So because you know, the issue here is that you don't want to say something that people are going to pick up on, and the company will start having some crisis or some issues, you know. So for me, it was really insightful. Another thing they talked about was the evolution of Facebook, from how Facebook began, obviously from the university, and how, you know, he talks about the different stages of how at some point people were like, it's not gonna work. At some point people were like, how is he gonna make money? You know, and so forth and so on. And for me, as someone that loves business or someone that wants to go into business, it was very educative for me to see that when you begin a business, people might not believe in you, people might not believe in your idea. But if you stay consistent and believe in what you're doing, which is right and which is good, you stand a higher chance of pulling it off. You know. Another thing that I noted was when Joe Rogan asked him about why does he think that America is divided. Obviously, he gave a very political answer. His answer was kind of, you know, he didn't want to go either far right or far left. He kind of gave a middle answer, which was a smart thing to do. Because like I said, you know, these companies come under a lot of public scrutiny. You know, it's very hard for you when you have 3.5 billion people using your platform. It's very difficult for you to be able to get things right all the time. He himself said so himself. But the issue, like he himself pointed out, if you make that mistake just once, you're also affecting millions of people. So you're always trying to, you know, get things right and be perfect all the time, which is never gonna be the case, you know. So at the end of the podcast, Joe Rogan poked him a little bit, obviously, by he saying that he was acting like a robot whenever he was sipping water, So Joe Rogan was like, he sipped water a little bit to show that, just playfully, So I think for me, what you're gonna be seeing is you're gonna be seeing more and more people of his stature do podcasts. I think it's very important when you have people like this, have a long form discussion, because when you watch them on, for example, CNN or Fox News or CNBC or another platform, another big media, BBC, it's a different takeaway. Maybe 10 minutes interview, 20 minutes interview at the most, but under 3 hours, you can really see the true persona behind whoever is in the front of the camera. You can really see whether the person is really saying the truth, whether he's just, you know, whether maybe his peer or people have given him what to say and what not to say. So for me, I loved it. I love the podcast. For me, like I said again, this is a different content to what I normally do. But let me know whether you like it. Let me know whether you want me to start doing more of this. I hope you go listen to it. It's gonna help you a lot if you wanna go into business. I know he talked about Oculus, he talked about metaverse. I'm not really into those kind of things, so I can't really speak much about it. For me, my own takeaway basically to round up or to conclude is one, I really love the fact that he went on and you could see a man that was genuine, a man that was real, and a man that at some point struggled to, wrap your mind or your head around this massive, not just massive platforms, like I said, WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, you know. But thank you for listening, guys. Don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like the video, don't forget to share it with your friends, and please let me know what you think in the comment section below. Listen to other videos that we've done about Nigeria, about P2B, Tinubu, and let me know what you think. God bless. Thank you for listening.